Saint Nocturne University. Book 3. Chapter 1. By dinner, everybody had an opinion about aftershade. That was the first sign it was dangerous. Not because opinions were rare at Saint Nocturne. Opinions were campus currency. People had opinions about professors, parties, parking, dining hall greens, blood court perfume, root circle elitism, Hull House volume, veil-born fashion, tuition fees, dorm ghosts, who deserved forgiveness, who deserved suspension, who deserved to get dragged in the quad, and whether Seven Monroe and Delphine Hart were flirting through academic hostility. They were. Allegedly. But aftershade spread differently. The shade room below had been messy because people wanted mess. Aftershade spread because people wanted to know whether they were already in danger. By 4:12 p.m., the app had appeared on nearly every student phone. By 4:18, the Student Emergency Council released a statement telling students not to engage with it. By 4:19, engagement tripled. By 4:27, someone made a shirt that read, "I survived the heart chamber and all I got was a new app." By 4:31, the shirt seller got a cease and desist from an alumni-owned brand claiming ownership over the phrase heart chamber. By 4:33, Aftershade posted the cease and desist. By 4:35, the alumni brand deleted its account. That was when Lila Freeman stopped calling Aftershade a gossip platform. She sat in the student newsroom with 3 laptops open, a half-eaten granola bar beside her, and Dre Coleman leaning against the filing cabinet with a clipboard he kept insisting he did not want and continued using with frightening competence. The newsroom had not recovered from the readout or the campus heart incident. Half the lights flickered. A stack of old newspapers had arranged itself into a defensive wall after someone said Nightingale too loud. The whiteboard was covered in investigation categories. Campus heart. City seals. Nightingale Trust. St. Crown/blood contracts. Council Subcommittee. Aftershade. Under Aftershade, Lila had written, "Not TSRB. Not Nocturne_system. Unknown origin. Possible human user. Possible hard fragment. Possible student. Possible adult using student interface. Possible all of the above because the school hates clarity." Dre read the board. "You're spiraling in bullet points." Lila did not look away from her laptop. "I am organizing." "You wrote possible all of the above." "It is possible." "You underlined hates clarity 3 times. For emphasis." Dre stepped closer and set down a folder. Staff operations found something. That got her attention. "What?" "Aftershade is not using campus servers." Lila turned fully. "How do you know?" "Because campus IT got locked out of their own system and came to staff operations asking if the dining hall routers were acting strange." "Why would they ask dining services?" Dre stared at her. She paused. "Because people talk around staff." "Exactly." He opened the folder. Inside were handwritten notes, printed screenshots, and 1 napkin with a network diagram sketched in pen. Lila picked up the napkin. "This is either evidence or a cry for help." "Both." She studied it. Aftershade is routing through alumni devices. And parent phones. Vendor tablets. Donor cars. Smart mirrors in off-campus apartments. Anything that connected to Saint Nocturne's network during the readout. Lila went still. "So it isn't trapped on campus?" "No." The newsroom went quiet except for the soft buzz of unstable lights. Lila looked at the board. The old danger had been Saint Nocturne eating the city. The new danger might be the city carrying Saint Nocturne's appetite around in its pocket. Dre watched her reach for her recorder. "Don't turn that on yet," he said. She stopped. Slowly, she looked at him. Dre's face was serious. Aftershade is watching reactions. Every time someone screenshots, posts, comments, searches a name, it learns what people care about. Lila lowered the recorder. "You think it's baiting journalists? I think it's baiting everybody through what they believe they're good at." Lila sat back. Her first instinct was to record. To chase. To expose. To turn danger into documentation fast enough that it could not outrun her. That was useful. It was also exactly the kind of hunger Aftershade might understand. She hated that Dre had caught it before she did. "Okay," she said. "No public story yet." Dre blinked. "What?" "I said okay. You never say okay that fast. Do you want me to argue?" I had prepared emotionally. She almost smiled. Then her laptop pinged. A new Aftershade post appeared. No one had opened the app. It opened itself in a browser tab. Black screen. White letters. Student journalism question of the day: when does investigation become extraction with better grammar? Ask Lila Freeman why some stories stay private until they become useful to her. Ask Dre Coleman why he writes everything down except what happened to his brother. Dre went perfectly still. Lila's hand froze above the trackpad. The newsroom lights flickered. She did not look at him right away. That felt like the only respectful thing she could do. Dre stared at the screen. His face did not change, which was how she knew the post had landed exactly where it meant to. She reached for the laptop lid and closed it. The ping cut off. "Dre," she said. He picked up the folder. His voice came out normal. Too normal. "Aftershade confirms it has access to off-network personal data." "Dre. I'm going to staff operations." "Dre." He stopped at the door, not turning around. After a long moment, he said, "Don't investigate that." Then he left. Lila sat alone in the newsroom, staring at the closed laptop. For the first time all day, she did not write anything down. Across campus, Brielle Laron had thrown her phone into a decorative fountain. Not the main fountain. That one was still being inspected for residual packed behavior. A smaller fountain outside the Valeborn studio, shaped like three stone masks pouring water from their mouths. Her phone sank to the bottom, screen still glowing black through the water. Aftershade remained open. Juno Price stood beside her with both hands in their pockets. "You know that won't kill it?" Brielle crossed her arms. "It made me feel included in the solution." Nia Bellamy sat on the fountain edge, watching the phone shine beneath rippling water. "You have insurance?" Brielle stared at her. "My digital soul is being stalked by a gossip demon and you're asking about insurance?" Nia shrugged. "Practical questions keep me from screaming." That was fair. Brielle looked at the phone again. The screen flashed. A post appeared underwater. "Throwing away the device does not throw away the audience. Try again, Songbird." Brielle inhaled through her nose. Juno winced. "That nickname is ugly now." "It was always ugly. Andre just made it sound expensive." Nia looked up. "Does Aftershade have your old admin access?" "No. Maybe. I don't know." Brielle paced away from the fountain, then back. "The shade room below was mine, then Nocturne_system took it, then I got temporary access, then it deleted, then Aftershade came out of nowhere like a roach in lip gloss. Juno said, colorful. I'm upset. Clearly. The Valeborn studio door opened, and Mama Odessa stepped out wearing a yellow head wrap, black sunglasses, and a purple robe with feathers at the cuffs. She looked at the glowing phone underwater. Dramatic, but incomplete. Brielle threw up her hands. Everybody has commentary. That is because you keep performing near elders. Nia stood. Kinvale stage block Aftershade. Mama Odessa's face shifted into seriousness. Not fully. It is not only a stage mouth. It has learned audience hunger from campus, city, donors, families, journalists, lovers, enemies, and bored students with data plans. Brielle sat heavily on the fountain ledge. So it's everybody's fault. No, Nia said. Brielle looked at her. Nia's voice stayed firm. Shared conditions are not the same as equal fault. Mama Odessa smiled slightly. Good. Keep that sentence. Brielle looked down. Her phone buzzed underwater again. Juno rolled up one sleeve and reached into the fountain. Brielle said, don't. Juno pulled out the phone and handed it to her, dripping. I know you hate it, they said, but if something is using your old patterns, you may be able to see where it copied you wrong. Brielle stared at them. Are you asking me to profile my evil offspring? I was going to say audit. Nia made a face. Offspring is worse. Use audit. Brielle wiped the phone on her hoodie. The screen stayed black. Aftershade opened. Follower count, 14,872. Then 15,203. Then 16,044. Brielle swallowed. I can't run another gossip page, she said. Nia looked at her. Then don't. How do you fight a platform without becoming one? No one answered quickly. Mama Odessa tapped her cane. You stop trying to be the mouth, she said. Become the interruption. Brielle looked tired. You elders love saying things that sound good and require labor. Yes. Age has benefits. Nia glanced at the phone. What does interruption mean? Juno said, no amplification. No reposting. No commentary that feeds the original. Consent-based correction only. Brielle stared at them. Juno blinked. What? That was, useful. I am healing through policy. Gross, but good. Brielle opened a blank message thread with Lila, then stopped. She looked at Nia. Do I send? Nia considered. Ask first. So Brielle typed. Aftershade posted about you. About anyone near you. We're thinking of an interruption protocol. Do you want in or no? She sent it. Then added. No pressure. Actual no. Not campus no. Nia looked at the second message. That helps. Brielle held the phone like it might burn. It's weird, she said. What? Asking. Nia's voice was quiet. Yeah. For a moment, the three of them stood around the fountain with the masks pouring water behind them, all of them learning a thing that should have been simple years ago. Then Aftershade pinged again. This time, the post hit every phone around the studio. Valeborn question, is asking consent still consent if you only learn to ask after getting caught? Discuss. Brielle closed her eyes. Nia took the phone from her hand. Not harshly. Firmly. Then Nia typed a reply, not into Aftershade, but into the group chat Brielle had started. Interruption Protocol Rule 1, we don't discuss people through the thing trying to eat them. She sent it. Brielle stared at the message. Then nodded. Okay. Across the quad, 7 Monroe was being attacked by paper. Not metaphorically. Root Circle's temporary review room had been set up in an old seminar space inside Graves Hall. 7 sat at the center table with Delphine Hart, 2 faculty witnesses, Professor Graves, and a stack of documents that kept rearranging itself according to relevance, resentment, and possibly personal dislike. Every time 7 reached for one file, another slapped his hand. Delphine watched with an expression of faint satisfaction. You enchanted the stack, 7 said. I organized the stack. It bit me. It corrected you. Professor Graves sat at the end of the table, looking older than she had yesterday. Miles Holloway's thesis lay in front of her, restored, bound in silver thread, his name bright on the cover. 7 avoided looking at it too long. The review was not a trial yet. That was what Delphine kept saying. This is not the truth hearing, she said for the 3rd time. This is a pre-hearing inventory of harm, fraud, institutional failures, and possible restorative pathways. 7 rubbed his forehead. That is a trial wearing comfortable shoes. It is not a trial. A trial would have fewer categories. Professor Graves lifted her eyes. 7. He stopped. Her voice was quiet. This matters. The irritation left him. I know. That was worse. He did know. Delphine slid a document toward him. It did not bite. Progress. This is the admissions record, she said. Your forged prophecy triggered legacy override protections. 7 frowned. What? Delphine tapped the page. Your fake materials did not simply get you admitted. They caused the system to classify you as spiritually significant. That bypassed financial scrutiny, background verification, and several scholarship waitlists. 7's stomach dropped. Meaning? Professor Graves answered. Meaning another student may have lost admission or funding because the system prioritized you. He sat back. No clever response arrived. Delphine watched him, and for once, there was no satisfaction on her face. I didn't know, he said. Delphine's voice was sharp, but not cruel. We have established that ignorance does not erase impact. He nodded. Then the room's projector turned on by itself. Everyone froze. A black screen. White letters. Aftershade. Root circle question, if 7 Monroe stole a prophecy, who was he willing to become once everyone believed it? Bonus question, why did Delphine Hart wait to expose him until she could benefit? Delphine went still. 7 looked at her. Professor Graves stood immediately and struck the projector with a binding charm. The image flickered but did not disappear. Delphine's face had closed. 7 saw the hit land. Delphine, he said. She reached for the projector remote with glacial calm. It is bait. You don't have to. I know I do not have to respond to a parasitic platform, Monroe. The projector text shifted. Delphine Hart's family has flagged scholarship students for 3 generations. Ask her who taught her to spot a fake poor student before she learned to spot a fake prophecy. A faculty witness inhaled sharply. Delphine's hand trembled. Only once. 7 noticed. Professor Graves said, do not engage. Delphine laughed softly. It was not amused. My family did teach me that, she said. The projector glitched. She turned from the screen to the room, deliberately refusing the platform and audience through itself. They taught me scholarship students lie about need. That root workers exaggerate lineage. That solo practitioners steal discipline because they were never trained. That legacy protects standards. Her face hardened. They also taught me how to see cracks in paperwork because our paperwork was full of knives. Seven said nothing. Delphine looked at him. I wanted to expose you because you lied. I also wanted to expose you because your lie confirmed something ugly I had been trained to believe. Seven swallowed. That people like me cheat to get in. Yes. The word was simple. Brutal. Useful. Delphine turned back to the projector. But I did not benefit from waiting. I benefited from being born into a family that made suspicion look like stewardship. That is the part I answer for. The projector sparked. The aftershade post vanished. Seven stared at her. Delphine sat down and picked up her pen. If you make this romantic, I will curse your shoelaces into snakes. Seven said, very quietly, I wasn't. You were thinking gratitude loudly. I was. Lower the volume. Professor Graves looked between them. For the first time in hours, she almost smiled. Then her eyes dropped to Miles' thesis. The almost smile disappeared. Seven followed her gaze. What happens to his work now? He asked. Professor Graves touched the cover gently. It gets published. Taught. Cited. Paid to his estate if one exists. If not, a scholarship in his name. Seven's voice tightened. Can I contribute? Delphine said, you will contribute. He nodded. The projector flickered once more. Not aftershade this time. The system notice appeared. Root circle review interruption successful. Platform feed denied. Delphine looked at the screen. Then at Seven. Interesting. Seven frowned. What? It can be denied when the targeted person names the context in the room instead of through the app. Professor Graves nodded slowly. Aftershade feeds on displaced discussion. Seven leaned back. So Brielle's interruption protocol might work. Delphine lifted an eyebrow. Brielle has a protocol. Apparently. Seven smiled faintly. Jealous. Of a siren influencer's governance language? No. The projector displayed a final line. Denial logged. Delphine stared. Then, softly, said, we need to tell Lila. At the same time, Lila was standing outside staff operations trying to decide whether respecting Dre's boundary meant leaving him alone or checking if he had eaten anything besides emotional avoidance. The staff operations office was really a converted supply room near the dining hall. Its new sign had been taped over one that read catering equipment do not remove without approval. Someone had written underneath. Approval is a social construct. Dre was inside with the dining hall manager, 2 custodial staff members, a campus groundskeeper, and 3 student workers. They were sorting labor records, missing pay claims, injury reports, and memory exposure complaints from staff who had worked at Saint Nocturne during incidents the university had reclassified as environmental disruptions. Lila hovered by the door. Not recording. Not entering. That was new for her. The dining hall manager saw her and came out. Freeman. Ms. Renee. Ms. Renee was short, broad-shouldered, and had the tired eyes of someone who had fed generations of students who did not know her name until they needed something. Her hair was wrapped in a red scarf. Her apron said Saint Nocturne Dining, but someone had crossed out dining and written survival services. "You looking for Dre?" she asked. "No." "Yes." "Not if he doesn't want to talk." Ms. Renee studied her. "You practicing boundaries?" Lila sighed. "Apparently." "Hurts, don't it?" "Unclear." Ms. Renee snorted. "He's busy." "Is he okay?" "Girl, nobody is okay." "Ask better." Lila accepted that. "Is he supported?" Ms. Renee's face softened by 1 degree. "We got him." "That should have been enough." Lila nodded. "Okay." She turned to leave. Ms. Renee said, "But he told me to give you this." Lila turned back. Ms. Renee handed her a folded piece of paper. "Not a file. Not a record. A handwritten note." Lila opened it. "I said don't investigate it. I didn't say pretend you don't know I'm hurt. There is a difference. I don't want to talk now. Later, maybe." "Stop making that face." "Dre." Lila read it twice. Ms. Renee watched her. "He know you well," she said. Lila folded the note carefully. "Unfortunately. Go do your student journalist thing somewhere else. We'll send what's public." Lila nodded and left before she could accidentally make the hallway emotional. Outside, her phone buzzed with 3 messages at once. Brielle. Interruption protocol idea. Ask before discussing targeted posts. Don't engage through aftershade. Consent-based correction only. 7. Root circle test confirmed. Denying platform feed works when context is named offline/in-room. Delphine was impressive. Do not quote me. Unknown number. You don't know what happened to Dre's brother because staff records were sealed under athletic operations. Ask Imani Cross. Lila stopped walking. For 1 second, the old instinct lunged. Ask Imani. Find record. Connect story. Expose system. Then she thought of Dre's note. I said don't investigate it. She closed the message. Deleted it. Then texted Dre. Aftershade tried to redirect me toward your brother through Imani. I deleted it. I'm telling you because secrets are traps. No response needed. She sent it. Then put the phone in her pocket and kept walking. 3 seconds later, the phone buzzed. Dre. Thank you. That was all. It was enough. Near the chapel, Zora had not moved in 10 minutes. The sealed doors stood quiet again after the liaison rejection, but quiet no longer meant safe. It meant waiting. Aya stood with her on the steps. Not close. Closer than before. Nasir had gone to help Professor Graves check mirror coverings around campus. Maxine was at the archive consent table. Talia had dragged 2 students into a dispute over whether my ex has my hoodie counted as an archive matter. Zora looked at the chapel doors. You think he's in there? She asked. Aya knew she meant Dean Nightingale. Yes. Alive. Aya's mouth tightened. Something. The afternoon wind moved through the torn banners across the quad. Zora leaned against the stone railing. Camille said the heart asked for me before she did. Aya did not pretend not to hear. She likes using true things as poison. So it's true. Aya looked at the doors. When I was Aurelia, I saw old heart chamber projections. Not often. Only restricted files. The heart identified possible human interfaces across generations. Human interfaces, Zora repeated. Aya winced. Their language. Was I on the list? Yes. Zora closed her eyes. Of course. Why? Because Baptiste women altered the pact more than once. Mabel resisted it. Your mother disrupted it. Maxine carried Nasir out. You inherited enough root connection, bridge proximity, and, Aya paused. And what? Aya looked at her. Pattern recognition. Zora laughed bitterly. That's a nice way to say nosy. No. It means you see how people's secrets connect. And use it. You used it? Zora looked at her sister. Aya did not soften the sentence. Good. I did too, Aya said. That was also good. Worse, but good. Zora looked down at the steps. Did you enjoy it? Aya went still. Camille's parting words hung between them. Ask yourself what you enjoyed. Zora regretted asking before the silence finished forming. Aya answered anyway. Sometimes. Zora turned. Aya's face was controlled, but her eyes were wet. Not hurting people. Not like that. But knowing things. Being the one in the room who understood the mechanism. Watching people who thought I was property realize I could move a piece they hadn't seen. Her voice dropped. When survival gives you a knife, it can start feeling like a hand. Zora looked away because the sentence hit too close. Aya continued. That is why I am scared of repair. I know how to operate inside harm. I do not know who I am without a system to outmaneuver. Zora swallowed. I know who I am without secrets, she said quietly. Aya looked at her. Zora's mouth twisted. No, I don't. Aya sat beside her on the chapel step. For a while, the sisters watched the quad move around them. Then Aya said, I don't want you to forgive me quickly. Zora laughed once. Good. I don't want you to hate me forever either. Demanding. Yes. Zora glanced at her. Aya almost smiled. Then both their phones buzzed. Aftershade. Zora tensed. Aya held up a hand. Do not open it. Zora stared at the black icon. It pulsed once. Twice. Then the screen lit anyway. Baptiste question, can two sisters repair a family if one was a target and the other was an operative? Follow up, what did their mother know? Zora's breath caught. Aya's hand tightened on her phone. The post added an image. A file title. Baptiste, Nadine maternal memory seal / voluntary. Zora stood. Voluntary. Aya stood too. Zora. My mother sealed her own memory. The chapel doors pulsed faintly. Zora's anger rose fast, bright, familiar. Aftershade had found exactly the right match. Aya reached for her, then stopped. Good. Zora looked at the phone. Then at Aya. Then at the chapel. The old Zora would have opened the file immediately. The old Zora would have needed to know first, hold it first, weaponize it before it hurt her. The new Zora was not peaceful. She was just tired of being predictable to monsters. She turned off the phone. Aya looked surprised. Zora's voice shook. Not through that. The chapel pulse stopped. Aftershade's icon dimmed. Aya let out a breath. Zora looked at her sister. We ask her. Aya's face changed. Your mother. Our mother. Zora said, then immediately looked uncomfortable with her own words. Aya heard it. Her eyes shone. Only if she lets us, Zora added quickly. Aya nodded. Only if she lets us. From across the quad, Maxine watched them with one hand pressed to her chest. She did not interrupt. That was the first good thing she did all afternoon. At sunset, the new Student Emergency Council held its first unofficial meeting in the dining hall because Founders Auditorium was booked for collective yelling and Graves Hall was under archive quarantine. The dining hall had been rearranged into a large circle. Not for symbolism. Because every table still had scorch marks from the readout, and circles made it easier to see who was lying. Present were Zora, Imani, Brielle, Nia, Juno, Lila, Dre, Seven, Delphine, Malik, Serafina, Aya, Nasir, Talia, Kiki, Taj, Rome, Professor Graves, Maxine, Mama Odessa, Marva Cross, Celia St. Crown, Dr. Amari, Ms. Renee, and 3 other student representatives who had been elected while everyone else was arguing with architecture. No one wanted to chair. That became the first fight. Lila refused because journalism. Dre refused because dignity. Imani refused because she was already drowning in Howl House. Zora refused before being nominated. Brielle said, "Absolutely not, I am rebranding." Seven said he was under review. Delphine said that was not why he should not chair, which started a side argument. Finally, Ms. Renee stood and said, "I will call this mess to order because I have been calling mess to order since before y'all discovered eyeliner." No one argued. The meeting began. Lila summarized Aftershade's known behavior, displaced discussion, targeted secrets, off-campus routing, engagement learning, possible heart fragment influence, possible Camille or Nightingale involvement. Brielle presented the interruption protocol: do not engage through Aftershade, ask targeted people whether they want support, deny the platform audience, move context into consent-based rooms, correct harm without amplifying bait. Delphine and Seven explained the root circle denial test. Dre explained off-network spread. Nia added that survivor-controlled silence had to be protected as much as survivor-controlled speech. That sentence got written into the minutes immediately. Malik and Serafina reported Blood Contract Review had found dozens of clauses tying student housing, feeding access, family status, and tuition support to obedience. Imani reported the old pack roll had been stabilized, but several names remained missing from Marva's 1989 burn. Camille's parting shot sat in the room after that. Marva's face was hard. "I will answer for that," she said. "Not tonight in a rush because a bound vampire wanted to season the room. But I will." Taj looked at her with something like fear and respect. Dr. Amari gave Lila the full list of ethics archive requests and agreed to submit herself to formal review. No one clapped. She did not expect them to. Zora reported that the liaison model had been rejected but heart chamber containment remained at 61%. Professor Graves corrected her. 60. Everyone's phones buzzed. Containment had dropped again. Heart chamber containment, 60%. Kiki stared at her phone. "Why does it keep dropping? We are literally meeting." Mama Odessa said, "A meeting is not repair. Sometimes it is just furniture with minutes." Ms. Renee pointed at her. "Put that on the wall." Lila wrote it down. Brielle looked at the app list on her phone. Aftershade sat there, black and quiet. Too quiet. "What does it want now?" she asked. Aya answered before anyone else. "To prove repair feeds it too." The room went still. She continued, Camille's last post asked who benefits from repair. That is not random. If students start performing accountability for status, if committees become new hierarchies, if people confess to gain protection, if apologies become currency, the heart can learn to eat that too. Dre leaned back. That's why it came back cleaner. Zora nodded slowly. Mess was obvious. Repair looks respectable. Seven muttered, Evil loves a professional development workshop. Delphine said, unfortunately accurate. Nia looked around the room. Then we need to make repair less performative. Kiki groaned. That sounds like homework with feelings. It is, Nia said. Kiki sighed. Fine. The dining hall doors opened. Everyone turned. A student aide stood there, nervous, holding an envelope sealed in black wax. Sorry, she said. This just appeared at the old dean's office. Professor Graves stood. Do not bring it in. Too late. The envelope flew from the aide's hand, crossed the dining hall, and landed in the center of the circle. Black wax. Nightingale crest. No one moved. Then the wax seal cracked. The envelope unfolded by itself. A voice emerged. Dean Nightingale's. Not through mirror. Not through speaker. Through paper. Students, faculty, staff, and assorted revolutionaries. Kiki whispered, did he just assorted us? Lucienne continued. The heart chamber remains contained, but containment is not resolution. You have rejected hierarchy, ownership, spectacle, and singular sacrifice. Impressive. Inefficient, but impressive. Professor Graves' face tightened. The paper lifted into the air. Words burned across it. Final heart stabilization requires one of three outcomes. 1. Appoint a liaison. The room hissed. 2. Reinstate a modified founder pact. Professor Graves whispered, no. 3. Open the heart chamber and release all bound histories to their living claimants. Silence. Not confused. Terrified. Lila was the first to speak. All bound histories. The paper answered in Lucienne's voice. Every sealed memory. Every hidden family line. Every archived complaint. Every erased student. Every faculty pact. Every donor contract. Every dead witness. Every room the school moved. Every child renamed. Every person Saint Nocturne used and filed away. The dining hall went cold. Zora looked at Aya. Aya looked back. Nasir lowered his head. Brielle whispered, that could destroy people. Nia said, or return them. Both true. That was always the problem. The paper continued. Choose by midnight. The envelope folded itself back up. Then added, almost gently. Do try not to eat each other before then. The paper dropped onto the floor. No one picked it up. Aftershade pinged on every phone. A new post appeared. Final question of the night. What is more dangerous, the truth staying buried, or everyone getting back what was stolen? Midnight vote coming. Choose your damage. This time, no one spoke. No jokes. No immediate outrage. Because every person in the room understood the trap had changed shape again. It was not asking them to feed on shame. It was asking them to decide what truth cost. Zora looked down at the black envelope. Then at the people around the circle. Her friends. Almost friends. Enemies. Family. Victims. Liars. Witnesses. Workers. Survivors. People who had harmed. People who had been harmed. People who were both. And beneath them, somewhere under the chapel, the heart beat at 60%. Waiting. Hungry. Patient. Midnight was 6 hours away.